Hi everyone, I'm Joe and I'm the creator of Dudes on a Map, here with a tutorial on how to get connected. So normally this probably wouldn't warrant a tutorial, but there are a couple options for the different ways that you can host and play Dudes on a Map. So you'll see here the join game is pretty simple. Here you can add an IP address for a hosted game, or you can provide a room code to join somebody's publicly hosted game. So I'll go ahead and show you the public server first. If you're not sure what hosting your own server entails, this might be the option that's best for you, but if you keep watching, I'll explain a lot about networking so that you might be able to host your own. So first we'll get a room. Up here, we'll have an option to see our room code, and you can click this button to simply copy it without ever displaying it. That is something that is helpful for people who like to stream sessions and things like that so that people can't drop in on you. So anyway, you click this little button, it copies that room code to your clipboard, and then you paste it to your favorite friends or your Discord channel or what have you. And then to join that game, you simply drop that value into this join code and click connect. Obviously, that's not going to work because we just closed the room. And that's all there is to using the public server. While things are pretty stable on the public server these days, when Dudes goes public, I am not sure what that will mean for my little room-based server system. I'm a solo dev and I don't have a lot of money to throw at hosting, so this could get pretty dicey, especially when it first launches on weekends and stuff like that. So it's not a bad idea to have a backup plan, and if you know what you're doing with networking, hosting your own server might save some of the resources for someone who can't or doesn't understand everything. So, wading into hosting your own server, it's important to note also that your players can also host the server this way. So, the first time you attempt to play Dudes on a Map, it might be worthwhile to have everybody click the Host a Game button and just perform a quick connection test. What this does is checks to see if Dudes on a Map, the program on your computer, is accessible to everybody outside on the internet. And that is through a specific port that we list here just for reference. And it shows your local network IP. That's the IP address that people can join if they're in your house. And you can copy your internet IP address, which is a bit of a piece of sensitive information, so we don't show it here for similar reasons to the room code above or before. Um, so if you're having people join from the internet, you simply copy this and send it specifically to your friends that you want to join. Anyway, so the first time you play, if everybody loads in here, Dudes on a Map does try to work with your router to open up a UPnP port, which is shorthand for automatic port forwarding. Otherwise, routers typically don't allow external connections to programs like this without some configuration. So if anybody is able to test their connection and they get a good response, that means they can host your game, no monkeying around with anything. However, not all routers support that. If somebody does not have a good connection status, Dudes will provide a link to open your browser or your router's configuration page. You'll need a username and password, which is usually printed on the router, or you can find it by your model number if you don't know what that is. Once you've logged in, there's also a link to portforward.net, which is a website which has instructions for various models of routers that can explain to you how to configure a forwarded port. So here, Dudes on a Map uses TCP port 29472, and you would need to forward your external port 29472 to your local IP address. In this case, it's 192.168.1.2. Setting up that port forwarding will tell your router that anybody that talks to this port is actually talking to the computer that's running the program right now. If you switch computers or something like that, you would have to update that port forwarding to the new computer's IP address. If you only have people on your local network, you don't have to monkey with this. And if your port forwarding fails, most likely you're going to see the response local only in the connection status. And what that's telling you is the ports aren't open to the internet. And so the only connections that you can accept are ones that are already behind your router. So another computer in your household, somebody connected to your Wi-Fi, things like that. Um, Once you're hosting a game like this, if you are the DM specifically, you are able to launch a player window, which will pop up an instance of the Dudes on a Map player that you can see here and automatically connect to your hosted game here. So you see Joe already joined, and he is over here on the bottom right corner with all the player tokens and stuff in the player window. I'll go ahead and close that. So hopefully that gives you all the information that you might need to set up your own server. It's worth noting that if you have a network with multiple routers or you're on some kind of corporate or university network and things like that, port forwarding is nearly impossible, and what is here isn't really going to be helpful for you. Um, the best bet there is if everybody is at your university, you may be able to connect using local IPs. If you have external connections needed, it's probably best to either get a room or to have somebody who is on a simple home network host your game.